None of us are racist. I'm an EDL member. I'm a Tommy Robinson boy. I'm sick of the corrupt government telling us lies, blacking out. They're doing blackouts on news media. Look what's happening in Paris, France, Germany, Sweden.
All things that were reported.
Thousands of UK citizens recently gathered in London chanting "We want our country back" in a rally that highlighted their concerns about Muslim extremism. The protest started at Victoria Station and moved to Parliament Square, led by English actor Lawrence Fox and far-right activist Tommy Robinson. This event underscored the growing fear and frustration over perceived threats to national security. Demonstrators carried banners and chanted slogans demanding stronger government actions and community efforts to address extremist ideologies. The chant, "We want our country back," reflected broader concerns about the effectiveness of current strategies to counter radicalization.
Protest in a holiday coastal town out of season this weekend. Far-right nationalists descended on the Lincolnshire town of Skegness to exploit local unease about hotels housing asylum seekers. A Home Office policy that has caused friction with locals who feel that their concerns are being ignored. At Saturday's march, some locals were among the 200 to 300 people who marched through Skegness to stage a rally in a local park, under the watchful eye of the police. But it was clear that some in the crowd didn't appreciate our presence.
Oh, let me talk streets where you know.
Don't take us for fools! We know they are not refugees. They are illegal immigrants.
The march was attended by far-right groups from outside Skegness. One of those was Patriotic Alternative, a small group led by a former leading activist in the British National Party. And the group made leading speeches at the event. At this time of year, not a lot should be going on in the coastal resort of Skegness. Facing the North Sea, this seaside town is famously bracing, even more so in late February. But Skegness is one of a number of towns and cities, including holiday resorts, that the Home Office is using to house asylum seekers. There are around 220 asylum seekers housed in the town of 22,000. Some locals and businesses are concerned about the effect that the use of this seafront accommodation could have on the local economy and the town's image.
Both the 3s, 33.
It's eyes down at the local social club where the punters are chasing a full house.
The UK has been dealing with the issue of Muslim radicalism for years. This concern has roots in both historical and contemporary contexts. Immigrants from former British colonies like Pakistan, India and Bangladesh brought diverse Islamic traditions to the UK. Settling in urban areas, these communities face challenges such as integration, discrimination and socio-economic marginalisation. During the period of significant immigration, political Islamist groups, influenced by movements like the Muslim Brotherhood, began to rise. These groups initially focused on political activism rather than violent extremism. However, in recent years, the UK has seen the emergence of more radical ideologies, making it a focal point for radical preachers.
But the housing of asylum seekers is something everyone is aware of.
We think that we're being put on with the amount of the asylum seekers what we've got. We're not saying we don't want any, but there is a lot. They should be shared out a bit better. And that sounds terrible, doesn't it? I don't mean it to.
The issue has been building locally for months. In November, a usually poorly attended council meeting became very rowdy.
I'm the Mayor's chaplain, so I turned up to bless the council. And there's usually 15, 20 people in there in the public spaces. Well, there were considerably more than that. And it very quickly degenerated into people just shouting and bawling and being quite unpleasant. So the meeting was abandoned and the mayor and the town clerk and the councillors left. But the majority of people at that meeting, I would say, were not local. I know a lot of the local people, and there were accents and people there I'd never seen before.
At At the local Anglican church, St Matthew's, churchgoers are celebrating the beginning of Lent, but it seems everyone in the town is aware of the asylum controversy.
The peace of the Lord be always with you.
The rector of Skegness, Richard Holden, has seen the tensions develop over the last few months firsthand.
I think if it's going to affect local businesses, I think that's a legitimate concern. So our economy is based on holidaymakers. So if that's damaged, that damages the town. So I think that's a legitimate concern.
And what's not legitimate?
I think it's not legitimate to say that they're coming and they're standing outside the school gates, that they are going into the local nightclub.
In response to these concerns, the UK introduced the Prevent strategy to stop people from becoming radicalised. This strategy has been controversial, with some communities criticising it for allegedly targeting Muslims unfairly. Despite these criticisms, many Muslim communities and organisations have actively worked to counter extremism through education, community engagement and cooperation with law enforcement.
And being a nuisance or that they're unpleasant to anybody. I've never found them unpleasant. You do see them walking around, and they walk around in twos and threes, and I think when people have actually been aggressive to them, I think it's probably sensible to walk around in twos and threes.
The asylum seekers we spoke to did not want to speak on camera. One told us the police visited them at the hotels to brief them ahead of the protest. Businesses in Skegness want a policy rethink.
It's the government's problem here. They've made a right mess of it. They shouldn't have done what they've done. I mean, it's costing, the amount of money it's costing per day is ridiculous. When you've got a cost of living crisis, but we're spending all this money on hotels for asylum seekers. When you've got all these old MOD sites which are standing empty. I mean, you know, it's just crazy, just beggars belief.
And who's benefiting from all of this?
There are companies and individuals from London and Birmingham. Nobody can find out exactly who they are. It's all clothed in secrecy, etc. So they're the ones that are making the money. They've suddenly come in, bought up these hotels and done this deal with the government or Serco or whoever it happens to be. And they're getting ridiculous amounts of money. And we know what will happen. As soon as the government decides to move them away, these guys will suddenly disappear and we'll never see them again. And then these hotels will be left to rack and ruin.
The local MP has spoken out against outsiders marching through Skegness and inflaming the issue.
I share a lot of the concerns that local people have in Skegness and around the country about the use of hotels for people seeking asylum. It doesn't seem to me that it is the right place for people seeking asylum, and it doesn't seem like it's the right place, the right thing to be doing with hotels themselves either. But that's not the same thing as saying people with those concerns.
Fear and frustration over extremist threats have sometimes fueled anti-Muslim sentiment and Islamophobia, leading to social tensions. The rise of far-right groups like the English Defence League, EDL, highlights these issues. The EDL was formed in response to the perceived growing influence of Islam in the UK and has been involved in numerous protests and rallies.
Baby tea.
Making breakfast for her children Mahad, Ryan and Muntaha is the first of many daily duties for Aisha Imtiaz. The paratha bread is a taste of home in Karachi before a day of work and study in London. Her family is here while Aisha takes a master's degree in journalism. But she could be one of the last to enjoy the support of her loved ones after the government tightened visa rules for dependents of students.
It's just led to this peace of mind that I have my tribe with me. Especially for women of the South Asian diaspora, it's not very easy, those who have children or husbands, to leave your home country and pursue higher academics and education without having at least your husband, if not your kids, with you. I feel like it's really cutting off a huge swath of society.
Very few are now allowed to bring their dependents with them as part of government promises to cut immigration. The Home Office says that in the 12 months up to March this year, there were more than 111,000 visas issued to student dependents. That's 25% less than the previous year, but still nearly 7 times more than in 2019. Aisha is one of around 700,000 international students in the UK, accounting for about a quarter of universities' teaching income.
The thing that we're saying both to the current government anti-political parties contesting this election is, for God's sake, just give people stability. We want the students who are thinking about maybe studying abroad in 3 or 4 years' time to know what the deal is.
A better future for her daughter was a big part of Aisha's decision to leave Pakistan for the UK, while husband Saqib Rafiq has been able to work in the care industry on his visa. Aisha doesn't believe the system is being abused or that it needed fixing.
The image in our imaginations is so exaggerated that it's people's grandmas and entire cohorts of people coming in. There's intense documentation in the way that you prove that these are your children and this is your husband. So it's a very controlled process.
Student-dependent visa applications were down 79% in the first 4 months of this year following the restriction. Unless things change after the election, the childhood memories of other families will have to be made elsewhere. And some academic dreams perhaps abandoned. Paul Rees, Al Jazeera, London.
The rally in June, which drew thousands of UK citizens to Victoria Station and then to Parliament Square, was a manifestation of these long-standing fears and frustrations. Lawrence Fox and Tommy Robinson led the rally, which featured chants of "We want our country back" and calls for stronger governmental actions and community initiatives to curb extremist ideologies. Participants voiced concerns about the safety of their communities and the need for a more robust approach to prevent radicalisation, particularly among young people. Organisers emphasised that the rally was not an indictment of the entire Muslim community, but a call to address the specific issue of extremism that poses a threat to national security.
In the Garden of England, this berry farm stretches for miles across some of the most fertile land in the UK. Inside, the pace is quick and the fruit plentiful, but what it lacks is enough workers to pick the crop.
All my workers used to coming from Eastern Europe, and when they go back, British government didn't let them to come into the country, and we losing about £1.5 million.
The end of the freedom of movement with the EU isn't the only problem.
I can't pick it because I haven't got the staff, and that is what's happened in the last 3 years. So you've had Brexit, freedom of movement, you've had COVID, knock-on effect. Then we had, obviously, the Ukrainian war. We trained up staff. We lost that trained staff because of the war.
These issues working up a perfect storm of labour shortages that the National Farmers Union says caused production to be cut by a third in some businesses since 2020. And though the government introduced a 6-month seasonal workers visa, farmers here say it's not enough.
At the moment, for my industry, we've got 45,000 licenses, seasonal workers licenses that come in. Do we need that? Yes. Do we need double that? We 100% need. We're growing more. We're getting better at growing. If we're getting better at growing, we need the manpower to help us grow.
But politicians, both in office and in opposition, have vowed to reduce immigration, not bring more people in.
The current Conservative government wanted to encourage farmers to gradually start replacing overseas workers with British ones, but that hasn't happened. And in reality, the majority of people who work in farms like this one come from abroad. Where are you from?
Philippines.
From India. Uzbekistan.
Bulgaria.
Macedonia.
They have tried to recruit locally here, but without much success.
Make sure they don't leave any food behind.
And their business model depends on trained staff coming back season after season.
It's a skilled job. It takes ages to learn it. It's very, very difficult. The crop here, they last 2 or 3 days. If you miss 2 days, the crop is gone. If you don't have the people, we are lost.
A steady supply of overseas workers may not be what the politicians say they want, but it is what farmers here say they need. Milena Veselinovic, Vale of Evesham, UK.
The event drew a diverse crowd, including victims of past attacks, community leaders and ordinary citizens who shared a common goal of ensuring a safe and secure environment for all. Personal testimonies from people like Tommy Robinson added a deeply personal dimension to the rally. Robinson criticised the police for their handling of cases related to extremism and exploitation, recounting his experience in 2012 when the police refused to take DNA evidence from his son.
The Midlands city of Coventry, population almost 350,000 at the last census. But with net migration passing 600,000, it gives you a sense of just how many people came to the country last year, towards double a reasonably sized British city. International students account for more than 200,000 of those arrivals. This group have come from all over the world, from Singapore to India and Morocco, to study at the University of Warwick. Why did you want to come to the UK to study?
You're experiencing a very, very different lifestyle, you know.
Do you think most people who've come to study from abroad will stay in the UK when they finish their courses?
I know most people that I know from my course in third year, final year, have got their grad job or masters in the UK. So I would say yes, most part, yeah.
They will stay. Over a third of the university's student population are currently from overseas, its highest ever level. But whatever the upside, there are questions which we all remember people were asking on the lead up to Brexit, which we're hearing again in Coventry.
How many more houses do we have to build? How many more are they going to be putting in the hospitals? Are they going to be putting more surgeries? So that's my main concern, how we're going to be able to cope, because we're not really coping now, are we?
Next, we meet Ricky, who works in a warehouse. To be honest, he seems despondent and doesn't buy the government's argument that so much migration is needed to fill jobs.
I've tried to get into work in different places, and all it is now is agency, minimum wage, when really it should be concentrating on local people, getting them in, training them up.
So with unprecedented numbers of people coming to the UK, it's hard to square why some companies are struggling to recruit, like this veterinary diagnostics firm, which has been advertising for a pathologist for a year. So is the problem that this country is not doing enough to grow its own talent?
Possibly, yes. It is, it is very sad because there is a high need of that, and there's no incentive for people to, become a specialist at the moment.
The government says it's restricting the rights of relatives to come with some visa holders, and it remains committed to reducing overall net migration. But it's...
At Parliament Square, the crowd gathered to watch Tommy Robinson's documentary Lawfare, which critiques what he views as an uneven policing system. The screening sparked discussions on law enforcement methods and societal fairness. The atmosphere was charged with energy as loud, hard rock music played, resonating with the crowd through powerful lyrics such as "I Want My Country Back." The rally, adorned with Union Jack flags, also saw addresses from notable figures like YouTuber Kay Benjamin, who spoke about his controversial interview with former Prime Minister Liz Truss. On social media, people from various countries expressed their support for the British, asserting that they deserve to reclaim their country and oppose the Islamic transformation of society. Some argued that all European nations need to protect their homelands from what they describe as a mass invasion. The Metropolitan Police released a statement detailing their observations of the rally, noting the presence of individuals with a history of involvement in violent incidents and associations with factions across London and the UK. The police also noted the presence of individuals previously involved in anti-lockdown protests.
More than 1 million people, including their families, have come to the UK on foreign student visas since January 2021. Not everyone goes home when their visa expires, including Danabal from India.
Was it always your intention that you wouldn't actually be a student? It was just a way of getting a visa?
This is the only reason for that. I just want to save my life.
But you didn't ever plan to be a student?
No.
Determined to get to the UK and stay, Danabal says his politics got him into trouble with the Indian police, so he paid an agency there £7,000 to arrange a university place in Britain. He ended up on a course in the north of England, but says he only stayed a month.
I just thought that, okay, this is the only way I can get through, but I didn't know about other options, so that's why I just used this.
We've met Danabal in Sheffield, but he moves around the country, his life undocumented, relying on cash-in-hand jobs to survive because his student visa has expired.
I'm doing garden cleaning today.
Garden cleaning?
Yeah.
And do they pay you?
No, they didn't pay me. They left this class today.
This is another visa overstayer, Suresh, also from India. He says he's been given clothes for doing someone's garden in London. He says he didn't even start his course in Wales. He spent 7 years just existing like this since his student visa ran out.
I don't want to continue studies. I don't want to go college. So that's why actually I tried many countries, not only UK. So suddenly I got visa from UK. So that's why I came.
The body, which represents universities in the UK, says targets set by the government for course completion and enrolment by international students are currently being met. Most students who finish their studies go home, but it's been 3 years since the last data was released on those who overstay their visas. In the year to March 2020, thousands of students were among the 83,000 people who came on work, student, tourist and family visas with no record of leaving Britain.
We asked the Home Office for more up-to-date figures, but they said none are available, which means we have no way of knowing exactly how many people came to the UK over the last 3 years on these kinds of visas and failed to leave the country when their visa expired.
But in East London, an insight into the scale of visa overstayers from those being asked for help.
It is a significant problem at this moment.
Immigration solicitor Vasuki Murahathas says calls are up 50% over the past 12 months, and she has a damning indictment of the mechanisms in place to find and send overstayers back.
The immigration system is really collapsed. They are not keeping up to date. Some people, they are coming knowingly that they can overstay and no one can do anything.
The Home Office has warned those who overstay they have no right to remain and says they should be in no doubt of the government's determination to remove them. Lisa Holland, Sky News.
Commander Lutero emphasised ongoing discussions with protest organisers ahead of the event. Our priority, he stated, is to enable peaceful protests, ensuring safety for participants in both the march and counter-protest. This commitment highlights the importance of maintaining order while protecting the well-being of all involved. A Metropolitan Police spokesperson reiterated, all Londoners have a right to feel and be safe in their city, and we will take a zero-tolerance approach to any racially or religiously motivated hate crime we become aware of. The rally serves as a reminder that many individuals in Britain are deeply committed to protecting their nation from potential risks, including concerns over Islamist influence. Engaging in transparent discussions and cooperative initiatives is essential to addressing these apprehensions while upholding democratic principles and respecting the rights of every individual.
You are all welcome here in Derby. And it is important that your voices and your stories can be heard by the Home Office in London.
The welcome offered by this charity in Derby, in contrast with the government's intention to remove people here to Rwanda. Asylum seekers who've been trying to plan for the future, now facing the reality that may not be in the UK. Among this group are people who've been warned by the Home Office they're actively being considered for Rwanda. Hamza, who's from Iran, arrived on a small boat in 2022. He's had this letter telling him the government has evidence that before he claimed asylum, he was in France, and says it may ask Rwanda whether it would admit him. I'm very stressed, he tells me. I don't know what to do. All I can think about is this letter and Rwanda. He says his wife has already warned him if he's sent to Rwanda, he'll never see her or their 2-year-old again. Their plan had been to join him in the UK. And for everyone still waiting to hear the outcome of their asylum claim, the concern is no news means bad news.
They're thinking too much, about Rwanda.
People are losing sleep over it.
They can't even sleep. They're thinking too much.
Farhed came from Sudan last July, where he claims he was tortured. But after crossing continents to get to the UK, now faces a flight back to Africa.
Really, I'm too sad. But I don't have any option to. I don't have any option. I can't do anything. Just I will be patient.
What is it about Rwanda that makes you feel that you don't want to go there?
Africa is Africa, everywhere in Africa they have, problems. Rwanda is not, a safe place.
Does it make you regret coming to the UK?
Yeah, if before I came here, you say that, they sent me in Rwanda. I never come here.
Fatima says she doesn't regret leaving Afghanistan. She came over on a small boat with her sister last summer.
I fled my country in order to be safe, Otherwise, I'm gonna killed by Taliban. Because while I was in Afghanistan, I worked with American, people, and I studied in American universities.
How do you feel that you could now get sent to Rwanda?
It's really unfair. While I heard about this news, I become really locked. I can't see nothing because it is not fair, especially for the one who came from Afghanistan.
Outside the meeting, Masood, who's from Iran, reveals an email he's had from the Home Office confirming his asylum claim has been referred to the third country process, meaning he too is being considered for Rwanda. Would you have come to the UK if you'd have known you could end up in Rwanda?
Never. Never.
Do you think it will stop other people coming now?
Yeah. I say to all asylum, don't come to UK.
His words could be seized on by the government as evidence the Rwanda plan will work as a deterrent. But the Prime Minister also needs it to work as a vote winner. And in Derby city centre, we found feelings are mixed. While some do back it... You support people being sent to Rwanda?
If not there, then somewhere.
There's plenty of people on the streets here that we need to, look after and put our own country first.
Others shared their frustration.
I'm pretty sure it's going to cost a lot of money, so when that could be put into other places in the country.
I think the government's entire immigration policy is awful.
In what way?
In both the amount of people that are allowed to come into the country, particularly undocumented, but then in the way that they're treated when they are.
And we also found a fair amount of scepticism.
We've got to look at why they're coming over and look at, how can we help them, help their government.
These type of plans are targeted at certain type of people that want to hear that type of thing. And, people who are small-minded will just go, yeah, great, it gets rid of people, or things like that.
Flights will begin taking people to Rwanda from the summer, the Prime Minister has said. Whether or not that now happens matters to the success of the policy and to the people waiting to see if they'll be on a plane. Becky Johnson, Sky News, Derby.
Balancing vigilance with respect for diversity remains a significant challenge. Moving forward, it will be crucial for policymakers, community leaders and citizens alike to navigate these waters with sensitivity and clarity, ensuring a safe and inclusive society for all. This endeavour requires ongoing dialogue, community engagement and the development of policies that address the root causes of extremism without alienating any segment of the population. Promoting education and awareness is equally important, fostering a deeper understanding of the UK's diverse Muslim communities. The rally in London, with thousands of UK citizens chanting "We want our country back," was a significant event that highlighted the concerns and frustrations of many people. While it aimed to address the specific issue of Muslim extremism, it also brought to light the broader challenges of balancing security and inclusivity in a diverse society. The event underscored the need for ongoing dialogue, education and community engagement to create a safe and inclusive environment for everyone. In the aftermath of the rally, the public discourse continues to evolve. There is a growing recognition of the need to address the root causes of extremism through comprehensive strategies that include social integration, economic opportunities and community cohesion. It is also clear that fostering mutual understanding and respect among different cultural and religious groups is vital for long-term peace and security. As the UK navigates these complex issues, the role of the government, law enforcement and civil society will be crucial. The prevent strategy and other counter-terrorism measures will likely continue to be debated and refined. Ensuring that these strategies are effective, fair and inclusive will be be a key challenge. The rally also highlighted the importance of community-led initiatives in countering extremism. Many Muslim organisations and leaders have been at the forefront of efforts to prevent radicalisation, often working closely with local authorities and law enforcement. These efforts include educational programmes, youth engagement and interfaith dialogues that promote peace and understanding. Moreover, the media's role in shaping public perception and discourse about extremism and national security cannot be overlooked. Responsible reporting that avoids sensationalism and fosters informed debate is essential in building a cohesive and resilient society. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. For more content like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel.